A few weeks ago that Deshaun Watrson was going to be consulted in the search for their next head coach, reportedly wanting Chiefs OC Eric Bieniemy, a candidate the Texans haven't even interviewed. And now reports surfaced that Deshaun Watrson is, quote, extremely unhappy with the hiring process. Guys, between this and what's happening with James Harden, Houston, we now have two problems.
Let's go.
Vic. Mike Vic, back with us now.
Yeah, man.
Mike.
I like it. Got
does Deshaun Watrson have the right to be extremely unhappy with the Texans?
Absolutely. He has every right to be unhappy. And a guy, like Deshaun, who's an amazing talent, who has the ball in his hands, every player and has proven that he knows what to do when he got the ball in his hands, deserves to know every move that the Houston Texans will be making now and moving forward in the future. And, he uttered that at the end of the season. I want leadership. We want, a coach who's going to come in here and demand the respect of the players. And because Deshaun Watrson is in a position where he is a leader, he has every right to do that. And the one thing I always hated was when our coaches, especially early in my career, went out and hired, free agents and general managers and didn't consult with me. Now, the general manager part, I understand. Like that's a totally different, line of work. That's a position where people in that spot have to understand what's going on around the team. So I trust that. I really wanted to be involved more so with the free agency and guys coming in and out. But Deshaun Watrson has every right to express his opinion, to have open dialogue with everybody in the organization, and they should want to make him happy. So now he's going to be a disgruntled employee for the next couple of months until they make it right. And then the biggest caveat is that they traded his man D-Hop without even talking to him about that. So I think that rubbed them the wrong way. And for that reason alone, I think they should consult with him about every move that's being made with this franchise moving forward.
And Mike, they promised him that he would be a part of this process. That's the biggest thing, is that you sat down and said, we want you to have a seat at the table when we're picking our general manager and our head coach, and you don't do that. So now you have lost all trust. I don't believe you. So now this relationship, it could be to the point where you can't repair it. And honestly, you got to think about it. Mike, they only won 4 games. He led the league in passing yards in a bad year, on a bad team. He's the only bright spot there. And you're the quarterback. And I always tell these younger quarterbacks, Mike, I'm like, look, you have to have the ability, because you are the CEO of the organization. Don't get it wrong. You have to have the ability to lead up to ownership, and you have to be relatable in the offense. You're not just a player. So for him not to have a seat at the table after you promised him this, I don't know how you fix this, because we're trying to do business and win games for the next 10 years, and I can't even trust you anymore.
Trust.
Well, and it's worse than even you guys have laid out. I used to be there. Let me just give the quick timeline here. The guy who picked Deshaun Watrson, stood on the table for him, said we got to trade up for him, is a man named Rick Smith. He was the GM of the team. Great man, great personnel guy. He took a leave of absence from the team to tend to his sick wife, who tragically has since passed away. They forced him out during that leave of absence. Nope, don't need you. We got the old pastor, team chaplain for the Patriots. He's going to take things over. You had the Bill O'Brien mayhem. You trade away DeAndre Hopkins, arguably the best receiver in football. Oh, how about that? I didn't even know that. That's a great guy. And by the way, when we're talking about GM openings, he absolutely should be a guy who's at the top of a lot of people's list. But that's neither here nor there. They trade away DeAndre Hopkins. They never get him an offensive line. They decide David Johnson is going to be the big help. The defense stinks. It's a disaster. So, of course, he should be unhappy. And, of course, Wilds, he should want out. And for his sake, I want him out. He is arguably the 3rd best quarterback in the entire NFL. You can make that argument. He deserves better than Houston. So, Kevin Wilds, time for some fake trades that should happen. People are going to mention the Saints. The Saints can't afford it. People are going to mention the Colts and the Jags. The Texans are not trading him within the division, even if it netted them Trevor Lawrence. There are 3 places that I think makes sense. One is in the AFC. The New York Jets. if the Jets call you and say, we will give you the second pick, we will give you 2 extra first-round picks and a second. If you're Houston and you have no draft picks, you're in a bad cap spot somehow, you're just the worst position you can be. You're terrible, you have no picks, and you don't have cap space. It's just a disaster. You've got to reboot it. The Jets are interesting. In the NFC, Washington, the same package they gave up for RG3. 3 firsts, 3 seconds. You want to say no? You at least got to think about it. And then Wild's the one that should terrify the NFL. San Francisco. Deshaun Watson in Kyle Shanahan's offense. Vic, I heard you. Wilds, I want to go to you, but now I get Vic. Hold on. To me, Vic, that's 14-2. You get Kittle back, you get the defensive players back. Deshaun Watson in that offense, like, to me, that would be worth whatever San Francisco would have to pay for it, Vic.
When I was talking about trades with Carson Wentz and potential landing spots, the one team that I thought about was the San Francisco 49ers and pairing him up with Kyle Shanahan. And, and I think if you can give Kyle Shanahan a quarterback like Nick Mullins and he can go out and have success, then imagine what he'll do with a Deshaun Watson or a guy like Carson Wentz. So you hit it right there on the head, Nick. I've been saying it for a while, and this topic just surfaced today, and this thought just surfaced today. But now that we are talking about it, man, that Deshaun Watson get in the hands of the right person and the right coordinator, a guy who can call plays, and he going to make magic happen. So if that's up in the air, especially under the circumstances that the Houston Texans are under moving forward, man, this will be a beautiful thing to see in terms of Deshaun Watson and his career and landing with the right coach.
Hey, everything you just said, Mike, is a distraction. Everything. I wanted to come up here and talk about potentially the Patriots and Bill Belichick trying to figure out a way to get it done. You got Nick, who he loves there, Casario, and they like to do business together. Family's always going to keep it in the family. But Nick Wilds, oh my goodness, you just gave me goosebumps and chills. And Wilds, I'm going to throw it to you quickly. If the Jets and Woody Johnson get this done, you know what's going to happen?
The Jets.
I'm going back. I'm going back.
That's why he took his hair down.
I'm going back.
Figure out where the hair went down.
Come get me.
I'm surprised that helmet still fit, bro.
It fit. And I got my jet green on today. Woo!
Okay, you got it. I love it.
I like it. I like
That's
it.
what's happening.
Here's why I
That's
like
what's
the
happening.
Jets. Because for the Jacksonville thing, this is why I don't like the Jacksonville thing. If I'm Deshaun Watson, I'm not going to the worst team in the league, and I can't single-handedly build the franchise because I just tried to do it and failed. It just doesn't work. I need to go somewhere with a little bit of momentum. Jets fans, I know this sounds weird, juxtaposed like the momentum, Jets fans, remember you guys were crying because you won a game? Oh, we should have lost all the games. And I said, no. There's such thing as good sports karma. Just like when the Dolphins were going to lose all the games and Flores refused, and then they started winning games. If I'm Deshaun Watson and that deal comes across, I start hearing about the Jets deal, or maybe the way the Texans run the organization, he never even hears about it. But I say, you know what? Got a new coach, and you can reach out to your agent and say, you know what? How about you do a package deal? How about you do Bieniemy and me? I'll go if you guys get Bieniemy. Let's do that. How much power he has to make the move, but I would be very excited. Very excited. And you know what? Then you got a new wide receiver, Brandon Marshall, looking good.
Yeah, well, the Brandon Marshall part might put it over the top. Also, you might say, would Deshaun want to go to the Jets? Well, maybe the Jets would let him have a say in the coach, in Bieniemy. But also, there is such a thing as sports storylines. And Brandon Marshall, the producer he works with closest on this show is our great producer, Sam Pepper. And there are a group of people like Sam Pepper who are Jets fans, who are Mets fans, and who are New York Knicks fans, who never abandoned the Mets for the Yankees, never abandoned the Jets for the Giants, and didn't just jump ship from the Knicks to the Nets. All of a sudden, the Knicks, kind of interesting. The Mets just traded for Lindor and Carrasco. Could be fun. And the Jets, Deshaun Watson. We got Watson. You got Daniel Jones. How you like that, Big Blue? Maybe it all turns on a dime like that for what is otherwise the saddest group of fans in the world. So all those reasons, I like the Deshaun and the Jets.
I don't care what happens. Eric Bieniemy and Deshaun Watson together.
Brandon needs a little break.
Yep.
Got to take that thing off. Back to Wild Card Weekend. What would it take for the Browns to pull off the upset of upsets? It is Baker versus Ben. Who do you trust more? Next, First Things First.